Colleagues, a good day to all of you, and thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule to join us. Let me talk to you about empowerment and transformation during COVID-19. Too many people are poor and marginalized, unable to reach their potential. We have to try that much harder. This is a quotation that was made by Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Ernest Moseneke. Just like the National Occupation and Safety Act is the law that is unaffected by the novel coronavirus of 2019 strain, hence the nomenclature COVID-19, so is the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act. It is the law, and our job is to be safe, to comply, and to respect our neighbors. Just 2 months ago, the Department of Tourism claimed victory over AfriForum and Solidarity in the North Gauteng High Court, which reaffirmed the uneven playing field between white and black-owned companies, created by the country's historical imbalances, and confirmed the criteria as being well within the law. The North Gauteng High Court also agreed with the Department of Tourism that the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic will result in the closure of black businesses and would undermine and set back transformation. It found nothing racial or shameful in our inclusion of broad-based black economic empowerment in the criteria as the applicants sought to suggest. This was upheld by the Constitutional Court's dismissal of the joint AfriForum and Solidarity's application to appeal in the leave to appeal, and concluded by really being very explicit that the use of BBBE as a consideration for financial relief to small businesses in the sector affected by COVID-19 is absolutely legitimate and indeed lawful. The Constitutional Court considered the application for leave to appeal and concluded that this application should be dismissed as it is not in the interest of justice to hear it at this stage, as there are insufficient grounds that are raised for a direct appeal to this court on an urgent basis. But really what is important for me is Section 9 of the South African Constitution that guarantees equality before the law and freedom from discrimination to the peoples of South Africa. This equality right is the first right listed in the Bill of Rights. It prohibits both discrimination by the government and discrimination by private persons. However, it also allows for affirmative action to be taken to redress past unfair discriminations. You see, Section 9, subsection 1, has a general limitation clause in Section 36 that says that rights may be limited by a law of general application that is reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society based on dignity, on freedom and equality. Section 1 does not preclude any law, program or activity that has as its object the amelioration of conditions of disadvantaged individuals or groups, including those that are disadvantaged because of race, nationality, or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or even mental or physical disability. This constitutional equality within a transformative approach is included to better address the deep and systemic inequalities in our society. It suggests that we should move through and beyond the dignity-based concern with social inclusion and sufficiency towards an idea of systemic and material justice. It proposes that the value of equality can be developed as an idea of equality of condition, aligned with an idea of substantive freedom that would better resonate with the struggles of our past, but also of our present, and suggests how the right could be subject to more transformative interpretation and indeed application. But you and I know that the law without an analysis of power is absolute tyranny. The law is not a moral compass. The people who hid Bantu Steve Biko and Anne Frank were breaking the law. The people who killed them both were following it. Much more so because 26 years into democracy, all of us collectively, individually and severally, have not succeeded in eradicating the 82 years of separate development, the 48 years of apartheid, and the 340 years of colonialism. This is despite the fact that not in the main body, but in the preamble to the South African Constitution, not only are royal we implored to recognize the injustices of our past, but explicitly mandated to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, on social justice and fundamental human rights, and improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person. It concludes with the hymn Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika, now our national anthem, which we sing daily. We cannot fix the problems of economic justice in this country without first addressing racial justice. The deck has always been stacked against poor people. Economic justice and racial fairness have always been one and the same thing. Asking for a hand up is not the same as asking for a handout. Triple BE is not a permanent crutch against which Black people want to lean for the rest of their lives. What COVID-19 has simply done is to demonstrate the huge and deep structural inequality now laid bare for all to witness. Grotesque and obscene wealth and grinding, self-perpetuating vicious cycle of abject poverty. You see, the color of COVID-19, like poverty, is primarily Black and feminine. A report by the Office for National Statistics found Black women are 4.3 times more likely to die with COVID-19 than white women, while Black men are 4.5 times more likely to die. In Chicago, 72% of people who died were Black. Officials said in April, despite African American only making up 30% of the city's population. In Louisiana, African Americans make up 32% of the population, but account for around 70% of deaths. Even after taking into account age, demographic factors, and measures of self-reported health problems, Black people were still almost twice as likely to die from COVID-19 than white people. So COVID-19 has also demonstrated another very disturbing exponential increase in gender-based violence and child abuse. And South Africa has unacceptably high levels of gender-based violence. We are reminded of the African adage that the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Ms. Tabia Kabinde is the chairperson of the Employment Equity Commission, which has been releasing employment equity statistics for the last 22 years. The 2019 report shows Black people representation in positions of leadership at a disappointing 14.3%, despite Black people constituting more than 90% of the population. Women representation is less than 24%, and African women are less than 4%, despite women constituting 51% of the population. Today, we still pay women about 75% of what we pay men for work of equal value. COVID-19 is everywhere. But countries with women as heads of state, like Denmark, New Zealand, Germany, Belgium, Finland, Iceland, etc., seem to be managing the crisis much better. Women contribute to a much more 360-degree, i.e. holistic perspective about how companies operate inside societies. It still tends to be assumed that they will take on the majority of both domestic and caring duties, both at home and in a broader society. So they are generally the ones dealing with the dentists, doctors, the schools, the care homes, the bus timetables, etc., without fail. Rather than restoring the economy to the old self, I think we need to be thinking about how we are going to press the reset button. I absolutely have loved the proposal that came out of Hawaii called a feminist economic recovery plan. Here they are very clear, explicit, purposeful, and deliberate that the state is looking to seize the opportunity to build a system that is capable of delivering gender equality. The proposal includes, amongst others, a universal basic income grant, special emergency policy funds for marginalized groups, including undocumented immigrant women, domestic workers, women with disabilities, and sex trafficking survivors. They've also waived core payments for COVID-19 tests and treatment for women, including for incarcerated women. But also they are paying a 20% pro rata share of the COVID-19 response in terms of grants. But also the funds that are expressly needed for the indigenous population are now set at $24.08 per hour minimum wage for single mothers. They provide free, publicly funded childcare for all essential workers. So 4 decades have passed since management consultant Marilyn Loden coined the phrase the glass ceiling to describe the invisible barrier blocking the way for women to progress to senior positions, C-suite I'm talking about. Despite the hashtag #MeToo campaign and the attention given to the gender pay gap, attempts to increase both the number and advancement of women in business are moving excruciatingly slowly. The metrics are not showing the direct result of this significant momentum we have at the moment. Inequality is not something the market is going to fix by itself. It needs help. The burden of women's work excludes women. While women account for an increasingly proportion of enrollments and components in higher education, they remain less likely to pursue higher levels of degrees at tertiary level. In addition to financial restrictions, women are more likely to sacrifice education to fulfill family and household commitments, particularly due to pregnancy, than their male counterparts. When your neighbor is hungry, you cannot sleep at night. From those that more is given, much more is expected. Because to truly act in own interest, we must first act in the best interest of others. That is being truly human versus being just an insecure overachiever. It is manifestly in the best interest of the haves to take the lead in bringing about and sustaining this world view of abundance, precipitated by the love prism. In viewing job creation in abundance as creating markets of the future, it is the moral duty of the beneficiaries of patriarchy and privilege to bring about both gender equality and pay parity in order to attain the ideals of social justice, of nation building, of social coherence, and deliver the South Africa of Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela's dreams, the South Africa we have all been praying for. The democracy dividend must surely percolate to all the social strata of our people. We dare not give up on the miracle of the South Africa of Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela's dreams, as carried forward and eloquently articulated by his seamless successor, former President Thabo M. Mbeki, during his inaugural address on the 16th of June 1999 in Pretoria. On that auspicious occasion, then President graphically described this dream as Mahube Anakata Khomu, the dawning of the dawn, when only the tips of the horns of the cattle can be seen etched against the morning sky, demonstrating a palpable process of the comprehensive and simultaneous formation and renewal of our country, its rebirth. We must continue this dream of a South Africa that has been forcibly pulled from the abyss and placed on the pedestal of hope. A South Africa that is free, humane, noble, and beautiful, upholding good over evil and affirming the dignity of all its people. Where the vast majority of our people own assets with no more suffering inflicted by degrading poverty, where hunger is banished forever because all will be gainfully productive, young and women feel both safe and equal, a nation diligently at work to create a better life for itself, a winning nation, joined together into one nation of many colors, of many cultures, and diverse origins. I also dream of a South Africa that is on an economic path that will ensure a bright and better future for all its citizens. So as I conclude, there are no people that can be helped by or benefit from institutions that are not a direct result of their own character. So it is up to us to describe, to define, and shape our own new world. If we do not think for ourselves, we place our future in the hands of others. It is up to us to create our own new world. Happy to take any questions, comments, but also some violent disagreements. Thank you.